Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. Porn stars Rick Harrison on the History Channel has had success in winning the hearts of individuals worldwide in a way that not many people have. Therefore, how startling it must have been when rumors of Rick receiving a life sentence. This is when incarceration began to spread. Rumor received increased attention as a result of Rick's history of having some pretty significant legal issues and individual problems that have plagued him throughout his existence. Let's look at Rick's situation. Harrison, and find out more about his. Rick was born in March of this year to Richard Benjamin Harrison, 22, 1965, and Joanne Rue Harrison had 4 children with his parents. Children, specifically Chris and Sherry. Joseph Rick is the third of his children. Familiarity with horrific tragedies began at a very young age after he lost Joanne Harrison Sherry. His sister was the Harrisons' first child and had Down syndrome from birth. Regretfully, she died at the age of 6, as like the agony wasn't enough. Rick had a persistent issue with year-old epileptic seizures that left him with nothing to do, but spend a lot of time reading novels in bed. His lifelong passion of literature was ignited by this, and reading, particularly anything that had pertaining to history and physics. One of John Dee's series is his favorite. Fitzgerald's book, The Great Brain, included a 10-year-old scammer from Utah, Tom D. Fitzgerald, who served as the inspiration for when Rick was a teenager. He attended San Diego's Taft Middle School, but left school in the 10th grade to sell $2,000 a week for phony Gucci purses. Yet everything changed after his parents' actual. The family has now been let down by the estate business, had to relocate in April to Las Vegas, Nevada. Now a teenager. In 1981, Rick had to deal with another challenge when Kim, his girlfriend, turned into Rick is quite young, yet pregnant, courageously chose to embrace. Another sad tragedy as fatherhood occurred after the young couple's defeat. Miscarried their first child, nevertheless, they remained resilient and ultimately married 1 year later, and after which they had their first child. Corey, who went on to achieve considerable success and a crucial component of the family business, and after 2 years, Adam, their second child, was warmly welcomed. Here, yet another horrible incident occurred. Shortly after Adam's birth, Rick didn't stay with Kim when they split up. Long-term single father only 9 months after. Following his divorce, he began dating Tracy. Dates for almost 8 months prior to receiving a year. Following his divorce, he got married and the pair took on a new partner. The duty of taking care of Corey and Adam, who now has a larger family, Rick required a more lucrative source of income, so when his dad opened a 300-square-foot, used Las Vegas gold and silver coin store, Rick from Boulevard South, who was taking back automobiles at night and then having to join his father's new company. We've already discussed Rick's passion for physics and history, yet he was completely unaware of it. The information he acquired from those topics would be beneficial. In the new, his family was entering a company. Rick's historical knowledge helped to the success of the store as he was accessible to provide historical support for 5 years after each piece. The family moved to a more noticeable location on Fremont Street. But they were forced to relocate, once more after 2 years due to their defeat. Their lease later, he and his father made the decision. Toto turned the establishment into a porn business, considering it to be a sensible next step. But one problem that they encountered was that they couldn't develop into a complete porn enterprise due to a Las Vegas legislation that only produced a small quantity of porn permits according to the city's people. Therefore, they sought to submit an application for a license to porn as soon as the city's population reached the necessary level, and they obtained their porn license at last, following some legal difficulties. The father and son opened in the same year to 7th Lane, Las Vegas Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, South Vegas Boulevard. Close to the initially, the father and the Las Vegas strip son concentrated on selling unique sports and distinctive historical items in their store. But jewelry emerged as their main selling goods over time as part of their company expanded and gained recognition in Las Vegas. Currently, Rick was a co-founder of spent the majority of his life at a shop and a show, working diligently to develop in the shop and grow the pawn shop industry by 2005. Every year, they were dispersing millions of loans, generating hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest income in the subsequent year. The business gained notoriety for having uncommon sports goods with intriguing backgrounds. They also provided assistance. Gamblers who would exchange goods for cash funds for gas so they can go home. Expansion and renown captured the History Channel's focus, which gave rise to porn stars, but their best-selling item was jewelry. With time, their company expanded and turned into Rick was well known in Las Vegas and now become one of the show's co-founders, residing in the shop for the most of his life striving to develop and enlarge the pawn shop, and by 2005, they were making loans out millions annually, making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of dollars in interest revenue. The business gained notoriety the next year for possessing unique athletic goods with fascinating backgrounds that also provided assistance gambling enthusiasts who would pawn items to obtain funds for gas so they can go back home. Expansion and renown captured the History Channel's focus, which brought about the creation of porn stars Brent, Colby, and Montgomery. Benefit from Left Field Pictures came up with the concept. For when visiting Las Vegas, porn stars in 2008, they cherished the range of unusual and dubious pawn shops thinking these stores would be home. Given distinctive personalities, they sought a family-run store to build a TV on sequence. They ultimately found the less expensive gold and silver pawn shop. This is less than 2 miles from the Las Vegas Strip. The store has previously been the subject of a PBS 2001 documentary, and Rick had desired for years. He had a show about his store previously made an appearance in a show episode of With Dave Vattel in Insomniac. The show was initially proposed to HBO in 2003, who didn't approve of the first concept, but they consented to its transformation into the we now appreciate family-friendly fashion. It was first known as Pawning History, later switched to Pawn Stars in order to improve. The name is appropriate for what they were filming. A light-hearted joke about the show. Pawn Stars started shooting at the renowned Golden Nevada's silver pawn shop in Las Vegas, whereas the most popular item is jewelry used Pawn Stars to pawn their clients. Bring in a variety of antique or vintage things while the store is being filmed is frequently closed to the general public, with just a small customers who have been accepted are let into the Harrison family gained a lot of popularity since a lot of people saw the show. Positive evaluations were left and more were desired. This facilitated the show's expansion and comeback. By 2011, Pawn Stars had emerged as the annual top-rated History Channel program and the reality show with the second highest rating show following the release of Jersey Shore. Rick licensed upon Steals is his biography, and My Golden Silver Life, which appeared in the New York Times at number 22, the year's best-selling list in this Rick, separated from his second wife in the same year. The next year, Tracy, who had been announced his engagement after being divorced twice. To Deanna Bird, a divorced woman, Rick was pleased with the success of the show, and his rising admirer popularity, Chumley and Corey showed up as themselves. In the I Lost episode of IIC Carly My Head. In 4 days later, Rick performed in Vegas, owner of an antique shop in a segment of. There is another show called The Middle. He wed Deanna Burdett this time. In Rick gained in Laguna Beach, California. Through this, 3 stepdaughters, Marissa, and Serena Siana's marriage in the game show. Pornography in July 2014 first appeared on the History Channel, with Chumley and Rick Corey competing with other competitors to avoid them from obtaining goods and money from the pawn shops for gold and silver. Sadly, Rick and his family are in inventory, might encounter a string of regrettable catastrophes that begin with the awful death of the family's father. Rick in June 2018, he lost his father. Rick told others of his father's passing. more than 250,000 Instagram users who say that Parkinson's illness was the cause. Spokesman for the Harrisons verified the passing of the patriarch, posted an up-close image of his dad, 77, wearing a black suit that matches, a fedora and glasses, and penned a sincere homage to the man who had assisted him in managing the family business. Harrison, the elderly man. Richard Benjamin died this morning in the company of his loved ones. Will miss him terribly. By the Gold Team, our family, and Silver Pawn and his numerous admirers throughout the internationally, the History Channel also broadcast a sincere declaration outlining its "We are grieving the death of the elderly man, heartbroken by the loss of our Richard, the old man Harrison, a buddy treasured member of the Pawn and History. We will miss Star's family's wisdom, and to be honest, we're thinking about the Harrison family throughout this challenging." Additionally, Rick revealed that the influence his father had on him personally was my hero, and I was fortunate to have someone like a great elderly man like my father, for which I am thankful that I had so many people to share him with, everyone that could witness what a fantastic. He was a family man, he said. He lived a complete life, and using porn stars, high-impacted individuals worldwide by instructing the value of humor, hard effort, and family. We value everyone's opinions and prayers, and a request for confidentiality during this even shared a second. Image of his father in a Navy uniform as a young man, writing, "I lost a friend and father today. The elderly man was a teacher and much more. Lost his protracted fight with Parkinson's. I love you, Dad, and I'll see you on the negative effects of losing his father." Rick was extremely sad, and it also made him exclusively in charge of taking care of the family and managing the store at the same time. Rick had to bear the additional weight of his third wife's divorce, from whom he married in September 2020. Based on court documents that were acquired, Rick Harrison and Deanna Burdett of TMZ appeared to have strayed so far apart that they were unable to remain married. Rick said that their preferences in the suit views and inclinations have grown so distinct that they are unable to coexist. Additionally, Marriage TMZ stated that the divorce may have been disregarded due to the fact that it took place during the National Floyd "George, I got 3" protests. Rick told TMZ, "Out of it, great daughters," referring to her 3 children with Deanna prior union, and stated that when the marriage failed, it ended in divorce. Was decided by both parties, he added, has moved past the father-daughter relationship. Images he recently shared on Instagram shows that he still thinks about to be his own stepchildren. Rick, father-daughter, Dayoff stated in an Instagram post on August 7th that he's had similar opinions about multiple stepdaughters of his, so regardless, that's a good thing. Obstacles Rick overcame with assistance from his best friend and son, Corey Austin Chumley Russell. A year-long friend later, Rick wed his 4th wife, wishing for a better life, Amanda Palmer, with her. But Rick's challenges continued after 2 years. But he ran into legal problems with his own Joanne Rue, mother, according to USA. Today, Joanne Harrison, Rick's mother, has filed a case against him about family property, and the Gold and Silver Pawns ownership shop filed the legal complaint in Rick Harrison of the Nevada State Court. The Harrison Gold and Silver Pawn Shop Jorick Properties and other properties are listed in the case as defendants. Family company management can be challenging, and challenging since money-related issues can lead to the breakdown of positive relationships. Sadly, this is what transpired with Rick and Joanne's mother, and son disputes had a significant impact on Bond. His mother's complaint regarding money said Rick had violated a contract, mentioning that his mother had espoused to his father for nearly 60 years, although while she was in the medical facility in the early 2000s, shortly after waking up, from Rick had her sign over her 51% in a coma, giving him ownership of the pawn shop at Armament when she wasn't entirely sure. Naturally, this was what she was signing. Didn't give Rick a positive reputation among fans, who were keeping up with the narrative, have always thought he was a family-oriented, someone who wouldn't betray his relatives due to financial constraints. The reality was that when Rick's father and his wife died, got his 49% stake in the pawn store as an inheritance. Nevertheless, her son never fully financial documents of the company. She stated that she hadn't gotten the appropriate documents for over $500,000 in cash and silver, which she thought before he passed away, her spouse had stated, Rick had ceased transferring funds from her. The portion of the company owned by the late husband Rick used to regularly send her $25,000 payments. Then, in 2020, Joanne, he stopped, was attempting to obtain that allotment as well. Restored by the courts, a large number of admirers believed Rick's fortune was in jeopardy because Joanne reportedly submitted an interim injunction against Herson to stop him from offering for sale any of the assets of the family. The constraint injunction would also stop Rick from transferring, concealing, or stealing financial assets, anything else that would lessen her ownership of the family business. The lawsuit also requested unidentified harms, a thorough record of assets, and an order from the court, prohibiting Rick from utilizing his mother's funds, which he had to give up any authority over her assets via a constructive trust. However, Rick later stated in a case-related interview, "The charges are false, and I think my mother, who is 81 years old, is being swayed by others for personal gain benefit," Joanne said in her request. While Rick is content with his cozy life, is a famous person in charge of all the I'm left with the family's finances and companies. Fearful and uncertain about whether I will have enough funds to pay for my personal and medical expenses, monthly expenditures. According to Joanne, was almost 80 years old when she wrote this article, had a number of health issues that needed 24-hour care that can cost as much as $15,000 a month. According to Rick, he only discovered the restraining order I've requested from news reports, he replied, made numerous attempts to get in touch with her over the past few months, but haven't managed to actually get in touch with her at one of the businesses. She is suing because she is fully owned by my mom. The porn star appeared perplexed by his mother's legal action in spite of many difficulties. Rick's most major and most destructive blow was still pending in January 2024. Rick, sadly, his son passed away in a public Clark County information officer, Nevada, attested to Adam's death from a fentanyl overdose and methamphetamine at the office in Clark County. As determined by the medical examiner, the death as unintentional worries increased. When his absence was noted by another resident since on January 17th, the landlord finally discovered. He was unresponsive, so the police were called. Enforcement. 2 days later, Rick revealed the devastating information about his son's slipping by and sharing a picture of himself and Adam in a dining establishment on his. He stated on his Instagram account, "Yuladam, you will always have a place in my heart." A shattered heart emoji is also displayed on Laura Herlovich on January 22A. Family representative said that, according to reports, Adam died from fentanyl overdose, which we are very sorry about. Due to Adam's loss, please honor our privacy while we grieve his passing, she stated. Additionally, Rick handled the matter in a declaration stressing that the fentanyl, this nation's crisis, must be discussed in greater detail. Taking Rick's emotional, many people paid homage to Adam on Instagram, expressed their sympathies, including Donald Trump Jr. only made a remark, "Man, I'm so sorry." Additionally, Corey, Adam's older brother, shared his Instagram picture of them as kids. "I'll always adore you," page writing. Adam Harrison wasn't, but Bubba appeared on Porn Stars, where he allegedly worked for a while at gold and silver porn. Prior to working as a plumber, Corey had, as previously stated, Adam didn't appear eager to appear on the show. Despite all the difficulties and sadness, Rick maintains his optimism throughout his life by his suffering concealed by his job. He even developed a strong interest in politics, supported Donald Trump's candidacy as president and Daniel Rodimer for the third game in Nevada in his congressional district. He even, considering a bid for governor of at one point, Rick also stated that many people may run for the US Senate. Discussed it with me during the party, and I always think about the things I haven't made, not yet, but I'm holding on to my choices available for his involvement. There's undeniably loved by others. Thus, it wasn't unexpected when he received his rank as a Kentucky colonel during an Porn Stars spin-off episode. He was partially filmed at Locust Grove. Became a member of the Kentucky Colonels and the Kentucky Colonel. Their magnificent parlor is the greatest accolade bestowed by the romantic relationship between the governor of Kentucky appear to be picking him up as well. Presently seeing Angie, a nurse in Las Vegas, according to Palashkin's representative to the public in a declaration. Angie and I met 6 months ago, Rick remarked, and she works in Las Vegas as a nurse. We've spent the last few years in Europe, weeks of her birthday festivities. He also recently shared a number of images of they both dressed up for a formal snapshot of a Parisian night out into their partnership. Rick is no longer a full-time employee at the Instead. He currently stars part-time at Pawn Shop. This semi-retirement is shown on Pawn Stars. He is content and not at all like the rumors of some people are imprisoned for life, discussed in spite of certain legal concerns. Rick's semi-retirement is enjoyable, beside his grandchildren, and